Alright, today we're going to go over the top 5 things Blox Fruits should add to their game to make it even better than it already is. So without further ado, let's get started with number 1. Okay, so obviously in the world of Blox Fruits, there are a ton of different fruits that you can unlock in the game and use. Now, like just looking through this list, there are tons of fruits that you can use here. But some of the early game fruits like the spin fruit or the spring fruit, or even like the falcon fruit and the diamond fruit, barrier fruit, they're all just really bad. They all suck real bad, like they're terrible. So my first suggestion would be to add some new reworks into the game. Make the game a little bit easier for those who just get started and actually make the game more interesting for those players. Because when you first start and you roll for the very first time at the Blox Fruit Gacha, you're probably not going to get anything super amazing, just like me. Ready? I'm gonna roll for the first ever time, and there we go. I got myself a sand fruit. Not an amazing fruit, but I mean, it could definitely do with a bit of a rework in my opinion. Okay, so my next suggestion is going to be about the bosses inside of Blox Fruits. In my opinion, these bosses are done horribly. This is the most underwhelming boss system I think I've ever seen in a very popular Roblox game. I'm not gonna lie, this is a boss. Look, what is happening with this boss, bro? Why is it sliding across the floor? And also, when you're fighting these bosses, it feels like when I get to the 3rd sea, all the bosses just have a ridiculous amount of health. They barely do any damage, so I don't need to worry about ever really dying. And it also just feels super underwhelming to fight them. Like, look, this NPC hasn't hit me once. There we go, they finally did. And they did, like, no damage to me whatsoever. Yes, I'm a higher level than this boss, but by this stage, pretty much everyone has maxed out, like health, or has a lot of health. There's really no threat to fighting these bosses whatsoever, and they're just kind of super boring to fight. There's nothing interesting about them, and they don't really feel like boss battles when you're actually fighting the enemies. It's one thing to have NPCs that are super easy to kill and have zero mechanics whatsoever to fight. Like this, super easy, I just absolutely destroyed him. But it's another thing to have a boss that's kind of just the same as an NPC, but just has a lot more health. There's really no unique mechanics to them, and it is very, very boring to fight. My next suggestion is to make more content for the early and mid game of this actual game. Let's be real, when you're playing Blox Fruits, you're kind of just leveling up, and then when you hit max level, then you actually get to start doing everything. When you're kind of leveling up, there's nothing but really leveling up. There's a couple challenges here and there, like Observation Hooky, Race V2 and 3, and apart from that, there's not really a whole lot else that you're really doing. But of course, once you reach max level, there are tons of stuff to do, like going and collecting all the mythical swords and doing a ton of like Leviathan raids and stuff like that. That is all the fun stuff. But when you're leveling up, it's super boring, and I think they could cater towards mid and early game players a little bit better to make the game more enjoyable while you're leveling up, not just a bandit beta. Hey, you might not know this, but I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just subscribe if you're liking the content so far. Daily and weekly challenges would make the game so much more playable if they added them to the game. Pretty much what this would be is you log on every day and it would give you a random challenge. This challenge, once you complete it, could give you either fragments, it could give you a random fruit, and then if you had a weekly challenge that you could work towards for the entirety of the week, and this would give you a crazy fruit like a random mythical fruit, or like a good amount of fragments, or even something else. Just something to make the game a little bit more fun, and something to do every day when you log on. Okay, so if you have watched One Piece, you would know there are 2 different types of Haki that haven't been added to the game. The first one is going to be the Armament Haki V2, or the better version of the regular Armament Haki. Hasn't been added yet. And the next one, and probably the more important one that everyone really wants, is going to be Conqueror's Haki. They haven't added it to the game yet, and I don't really know why they haven't done this yet. It's such a crucial part of One Piece, and it would be really cool to see in the game. Alrighty guys, that is everything I have for you today. Make sure to drop down suggestions in the comment section below. I want to see what you guys want in this game as well, and I'll see you in the next video.